You're watching the Tesla Live with your host, Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 351. Here we are, man, we're the 20th of March already. We are beyond the Ides of March, so that's good news. But
happy springtime.
That's
Spring
right.
Started yesterday.
That's right. We're into spring,
Well,
and to celebrate
wasn't it like
spring
11 p.m.?
here in Southern Ontario, we decided to have a snowstorm just to celebrate.
Oh, there you go.
I shouldn't be so northern hemisphere biased. So if you're in the southern hemisphere and you're watching this show, leave us a comment and say Pat was
Happy
a
winter.
mean jerk for excluding me. It's
fall.
at least fall, yeah.
Autumn.
Yeah, and as we've discussed before, Pat is more north than even I am. I am more southern on the North American continent than Patrick is.
Yeah.
But Casey's got us both beat. So
the spring came in with a bang. We had before lunchtime I had to switch this room over to battery because it was full. And we're still on battery, just at 84%, and the solar has gone immeasurable. Like it says
low.
0, but it's not actually 0. Yeah.
Oh wow.
okay, all right. Well, with that, let's introduce the panel. We of course have our regulars with us tonight. We have Mr. Patrick Connor joining us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir? I'm
good. Hello, Tesla Nation. It's fun to be hanging out here with my Tesla friends, Tesla family. And speaking of the weather, yesterday for spring, we had a great, nice sunny day. And the day before that, I had my first net positive day for the year. We exported 7 some kilowatt hours more than we used for the day. So it's nice in the springtime when you get those nice sunny days, and yet it's still cool enough that you don't need air conditioning like we do in July and August. So yeah, fun times. It's great to be net zero or net positive. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. Nice. Absolutely. Also with us as per usual, Mr. Casey Green from the Mid-Atlantic. How are you today, sir?
Doing all right. I can only measure the 120 volt loads minus one room. Otherwise, I got to wait every month to find out how much we produce and consume.
Casey, in your present situation, are you doing this with panels that aren't hooked up regularly? Like, are these additional panels, or are these panels that are actually hooked to your roof?
Both. So all the 120 volts, but one room are connected to the portable batteries, and the portable batteries are to a smart transfer switch, and then that's connected to the portable batteries, and then of course the permanent solar is hooked straight into the production meter. Okay. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Well, if you're in the chat room, please send us a hello. We got JT24 saying hello first. Fantastic. I wanted to special hello to Destroyer 100, who I was just talking to on Twitter, and he was amazed I wasn't a robot. So that's good. Glad
you got robots in the house.
Patrick's got a robot on his shirt, but other than that, there's no robots here. Oh, June's with us as well. Hello, June.
Hello.
So let's get to it. We've got a bunch of news as is usual. And the first story we wanted to talk about, I believe, was Cybertruck building. So we, of course, know that Cybertruck ramp is going to be slow and steady as time goes along. At this point, we're happy to see a grouping of trucks in the export parking lots throughout Giga Texas. And recently, there was a report, someone that was actually, of course, doing the drone flyovers and counting Cybertrucks, was able to indicate that we had over 300 trucks in export lots.
Wow.
And I can share a quick video taken so you can kind of see the lineup. Here we go.
I wonder how many days was that from one day of production, or a week, or I have no idea.
Cleared out the inside. They've been tired of hiding them inside the building. Oh, there we go.
So we've got them all over the place. That's the charging area in here,
Mm-hmm.
the new charging area. You got 64 chargers in there, I believe.
Pull-through spots too, the way it should be.
Yep. And then down the side of the new building that's used for final inspection of the vehicles. And I believe, to answer Patrick's question, we've got the person that's taking these shots has indicated that this is a daily total.
Oh, wow.
So again, I'm not sure if it's 300 plus a day on this particular day. When they did it last week, it was 300 that they were able to count. And they were also indicating that they could see the trucks moving to the export lot and being loaded up on tractor trailers as well for leaving the location. So I don't believe these are vehicles just moving around.
Mm-hmm.
This does seem to be an actual depiction of the number of vehicles that are being made on a daily basis. It may, of course, it may be moving around. It may be 200 one day, maybe 150 another day, maybe 300 another day, but at least it looks like they're starting to dial in, and we're not seeing 25 or 30 trucks.
Mm-hmm.
We're now seeing 10 times that amount. So that's good news.
Yeah, I wonder how the ramp of the Cybertruck compares to maybe, I don't know what the right comparison would be, because there's nothing like the Cybertruck, but maybe I was going to say Model 3 first, but with the 3 they had already been doing the S and X, and sure, there was a lot of differences, but not as radically different as the Cybertruck is from anything that's been made before. So it'd be interesting to compare all of them over the first 6 months to see which one was the fastest, slowest, and where Cybertruck falls in that grouping.
Yeah.
Well, they've got experience now. I mean, just because it's slow going doesn't mean that they don't know where they need to go.
Right, and going slow in the beginning makes sense. You want to make sure you get stuff right before you start scaling it to and then having big recalls. You don't want to do that.
Yeah. And just a quick thank you to James Catt, who supplied that video that we just showed. So we appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, and then unlike what Elon advises for Mr. Sarange, RJ, if you will, they're not, looking at imminent death of the company, so nobody needs to be sleeping on Giga Texas floor. Doesn't mean they're not, but they don't have.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, with Model 3, it was a live or die moment for Tesla. They were betting the company on Model 3, and so they had to push that as hard as they could. With the Cybertruck, it's not life or death, so maybe they're not doing the 20-hour days to get it out the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with the completely different production of it, there's going to be some bumps in the road. There's going to be some issues scaling up, because this is not a Y, a 3, an S, or an X. This is completely different. Not even to mention the new parts that are being used inside of the exoskeleton that is stainless steel and completely unique. So this is going to be a learning process for all of them there as they try to get this production dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
With that, we'll move on across the pond over to Europe. And we had a story last week about Elon showing up for basically a little bit of a pep rally at Giga Berlin, as he was speaking to the employees. And he obviously didn't want the information to get out, because some of the press were at the event, but they were kept outside of the gates. And in fact, they had the ability to listen because Elon was obviously speaking over some sort of a mic'd system through speakers to reach all the different employees that were there. But just before he started to speak, they drove a couple of Model X's up to the fence. they popped their doors and started to play rock music. so all the reporters were unable to hear anything because the vehicles they had the volumes up and they were blaring music out the doors. But of course, nothing stays secret at Tesla for too long. We had some leaked information, and this is really surprising information that Elon had announced on stage that he thought that Giga Berlin would be a great place to introduce the TeslaSemi to Europe. And his thought is he would like to put in a production line for the Semi right there at Giga Berlin, possibly with some of the expansion plans that Tesla has already spoken about. I'm not sure exactly where the line would go, or if it would be maybe a separate building just across the street or something along those lines, may be possible as well. But considering the difficulty that Tesla's had with red tape at Giga Berlin, they stay on the land that they owned if they're going to build a structure and not try to get another piece of land, because who knows what will happen, what kind of delays are in front of them. Even just getting
season for the endangered speckled bungfly.
So even getting just a permit for the building could be troublesome for them. But let's try to button things up. And even if you can, I would think that the Semi line, although the vehicle is very large, it's not a high production vehicle at this point. Maybe you could add an existing line to a building you already have. That would be ideal if they could do something like that. But again, there's regulations in Europe that has to be overcome as well for the introduction of this truck. The truck could run on European roads. It is of the right length, stature for German vehicles. You'll notice that a lot of European transport trucks are the flat nose variety.
I was going to say that
because they want there was a maximum length for ferries and other things that these trucks can go on, and they have a limit on the maximum length of tractor and trailer together. So that's why the European market has gone flat nose when it comes to transport trucks. So whereas here in North America, it seems the long nose is in style and is not a problem here. But
really is.
Yeah. So Mark, you mentioned how maybe Tesla should find a way to just do it in the footprint they already have. That's not their style, and that's one of the things I like about them is they figure out what the right thing to do is, and then they fight like hell to do it that way. And if that means that the dealership association is pissed off at them or some regulator, they're going to go to the mat trying to do it the right way. Somebody's got to try to do it instead of, if you just take the easy path, you're always going to be compromising, and then you're not going to get the actual great product. You're going to just get something like everybody else has. So I actually hope they try to open a new space just because of all the great drama and news articles that will bring for us to discuss on this show.
That is absolutely correct. There's never any shortage. And of course, adding another trying to get another piece of legislation passed to get something built in Giga Berlin certainly will provide more news stories. There is no doubt of that.
Yeah.
So this brings up two items of curiosity to me. With the music, you've got it's going to be really expensive for any of the large news organizations to be able to use whatever they could gather, and it would make it impossible for anybody of YouTube size to be able to broadcast what's already there, because I'm sure it was information. Not information. I'm sure it was music that wasn't readily rights enabled. The other part,
is they had to play something from a very litigious artist.
Yes.
Somebody from portfolios they don't play. Blocked worldwide. The other part is with the Tesla Semi. Yes, it'll physically operate on those roads, and like you said, it's not too long or too big or anything. It might impact how much trailer you can carry because of the overall length, but it is a shorter length than other vehicles of its shape. But what got me about that one is right now they're using MCS2 on Tesla Semi here in the States. What are they going to use in Europe? Because nobody's using MCS2 anywhere outside of a laboratory except for Tesla. Everybody else is talking about when MCS3 is finished, they're going to use that. They do have experience with CCS2, but I don't know if CCS2 can get anywhere close to megawatt, even if you do put the Tesla spice on it. So it'll be interesting to see.
I do understand that there are some electric rigs already in Europe. I have no idea what they're using, though, as to charge them.
The ones I've seen, CCS2 or multiple CCS2s, and the overhead or underneath, just proprietary, just direct connection to the battery.
Yeah.
But that's not Tesla style.
No, that won't be happening. But
they could do the multiple CCS2s, but that just doesn't seem to make sense because the point of MCS period, MCS 1, 2, 3, they don't have AC charging, so it's actually one connector globally.
I believe, like everything else, though, Casey, I think that they will look at what the requirements are that they need and see if there's anything on the shelf that suits their needs for what they require, or they'll strike out on their own and build their own standard, their new standard that they believe is what they require. And as we saw in North America, it did take them some time, but they got everyone switched over. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come up with a solution that they believe works for them the best and start to convert others in Europe as well.
Right. So if they decide MCS3 is the way to go, they still have a long way. I mean, this is just an announcement of, hey, it might be nice to build it here, right? So getting to actual production is more than a year out, probably multiple years. So during that time, they could push to get everybody else moving in that direction.
That would be humorous, though, to see them running NACS over there for the Semi and still have MCS2 over here.
That would be funny.
It would be weird. But I don't think that the Semi has an AC charging provision at the moment, or if they do, they don't have a connector for it because, again, MCS is DC only. But you would have to think that for owner-operators, it would be nice to be able to bring your truck home and charge it overnight on your regular Tesla charger rather than having to go make extra stops in the morning when you get back out on the road.
Exactly. So we'll see. This was just an announcement, like you said, like Patrick said. This is nothing that's firm. This is just Elon saying, "I think we should." So obviously, there's more thought in it than just that. But it'll be interesting to see if they maybe try to roll that in to help them get that extra plant built on Giga Berlin's property. Or if they believe that because they also want to ramp up production of Model Y from the current 500,000 to 1 million. They want to double it. So, there could be some other things in there for the government with tax revenue that they're trying to maybe sweeten the pot with. Like, let's get this approval done for the new building, and we can put another line in of not only what we're doing now with Model Ys, but we can build another vehicle here and make the plant even more valuable to Europe. So we will definitely keep an eye on that and see what happens. With that said, Patrick's got our next story, and this is a little bit about FSD.
That's right. So FSD Beta version 12.3 is rolling out to thousands of customers. And guess who got it yesterday? Yay, I did. And I'll be going on a 300-mile road trip in the next few days. So I'll be able to come back next week and give you guys a thorough report of my findings with this. So this article here about FSD 12.3 is on Teslarati. It's by Zachary Visconti. And he brings up a couple interesting points. There was some discussion with TeslaScope and others about whether or not hardware 4 cars were doing better or worse than hardware 3 equipped vehicles. And they're saying the reports are hardware 4 is working great with this, and that it's even better than the previous version that some people had, which was 12.2.1. So there were they've been rolling out version 12 to employees, and then 12.2 went out to a select group of people. And now it looks like 12.3 is going out to a much larger audience. So hopefully, whether you have a hardware 3 or a hardware 4 car, you will be getting it soon if you don't already have it. And then the last point they brought up in the article, and then we can discuss it, was that version 12 is the one that Elon promised would eventually drop the beta designation. So this one still has it, but it'll be interesting to see if and when beta really does drop away.
Mm-hmm.
They go to 13 without we've mentioned it.
Another side note to that is it was announced just yesterday that 12.3 would not be coming to Canada right away. They have to do some more validation in the Canadian model before it's released here. So it's just in the US at this point. Casey, did you receive this as well?
I can't. I'm a legacy. We're stuck on the new.
Right.
2020.
Right.
Well, not just us legacy folks, but especially us legacy folks. If you're on a 2024 software build, you can't get the latest version of FSD Beta right now. You're stuck on 11.4. Hopefully 9, but you could be on something older than that. And it's the usual slap in the face for the way that they work the old cars. It's like, thanks for your money. We're on to the next thing.
It is kind of like that because you're really stuck there. And of course, let's be honest, every day that Tesla delays it, more and more of those cars drop off because they're being traded in or they're being upgraded. And that is a legacy problem, definitely.
Yeah. But not, like I said, not just legacy, but every legacy is on 2024. But some of you folks with the new cars with key cards, you're sitting in the same boat. Like, man, when are they going to figure out how to merge some software and install software on top of an OS rather than link them together?
Yeah, there's definitely something strange going on because, like you just mentioned, you have a 2024 version of their software, but yet you have the older FSD, whereas I have 2023 version of the software. I'm like, well, it's been 2024 for a minute now. Why don't I have a 2024 version of the software? But yet I've got the newest FSD on there. So yeah, they've got some compatibility issues within their own software stack. And this is something that being all in-house, having their own software teams, I'm sure they have the reasons, but they should fix this.
Yeah, you would think that everything is just an app running on top of the Tesla OS, and then if you've got a Cybertruck, they switch out all your graphics for triangles, and if you've got a Model Y, then you get the little hedgehog. So it's not just legacy. Cybertruck doesn't even have anything beyond dumb cruise control. They don't have traffic-aware cruise control, and this is just weird. Like Patrick was saying, the way that they orchestrate all this is not what you would expect. It's better than the legacy automakers, but it's not what you'd expect from a tech company. The other thing, Patrick, is some folks have complained about the vehicle curbing its wheels, so be ready to take over. It's not going to try to jump off the cliff like mine did way back in the day, but it might make you want to buy some new sneakers, and that get expensive.
Yep, I'm definitely always ready to take over. I love driving with FSD. I think it's great, but I still think of it like teaching a teenager to drive. You have to be paying attention. You have to be ready to take over. And sure, you don't have to have that grip on the wheel and constantly be staring forward. You can have situational awareness, but you still have to have awareness. You can't just be distracted.
Absolutely.
No playing games, no reading a book.
Exactly. But if you've been on version 11.4.9 since January, or 11. Whatever, 3 and up since June of last year, you might have a little bit of not expecting it to just jump at a curb. It's never been on, it's never had problems with before. Allegedly, it doesn't hog the middle of the road on neighborhoods anymore. That's going to be nice. And for Mark, you guys up in Canada, you probably won't see.
Canada? What the heck is that?
Yeah.
this version because it felt fun. Because allegedly Friday or next Friday, we'll be getting 11.8 12.
See right there, Canada. I see it. That's Americanas think.
12.3.1 and 12.3.2 are imminent, and Elon says they're even better than 12.3. This 11 shouldn't be out at the same time as 3.
Yeah.
Or as 12.
Absolutely. It's weird. They've got a whole bunch of different software stacks, obviously, that they're trying to control separately in some ways. And speaking from someone that was head a company where we had multiple different software stacks based on the customer, it's a difficult thing to control sometimes and keep track of. But
all your customers are internal here.
Right. But you try to make things modular, but then some APIs change or whatever, and this version is only compatible with that version until you get to the next one where you can migrate them all. But that's a big effort, and you've got other things you need to do first. And it's
I'm not saying that they don't have reasons. I'm just saying it looks bad from the outside.
Yes. Yep. But one of the things that they didn't mention in this article is that actually reverse summons is got a new branding. I guess it's called Banish now, and it supposedly works. So I'll be trying that one out too.
Oh, that's in the consumer build.
Okay. Then maybe that's why they didn't mention. Maybe that's not part of. I saw the articles together. I assumed that they were together, but maybe I'm wrong. So
that's a much better name than Park Seek or Smart Auto Park 2.
Right, and
Elon never was going to call it reverse summon, but mainly because that's just classic summon going backwards. But it's not
right. And you can't just call it smart park because that sounds like it happens while you're sitting in the car and you just tell it to park. So Banish at least gets to the point of you get out and you tell the car to go away.
Exactly. Yeah. Plus, they've got various versions of auto park. They've got the one where you're sitting in it. They've got the one where you're sitting outside of it. They've got. Banish is much clearer that what's going on here. Like, get out of my face, car.
Yeah.
I look forward to next week when Patrick will come back after the long drive and let us know how he found it, how it was used on a long journey like that. That'll be interesting to hear.
Speaking of, well, I'll wait to the next thing. I was going to say, speaking of the Cybertruck and FSD, we'll talk about it later.
Well, you're doing the next story anyways, Casey. So go right ahead.
So, are we talking about the one for Mr. Supercharger or the one after that?
We're talking about the Rivian.
Okay, so for MrSupercharger.com, you may see yet another set of friendly faces out at the Superchargers out in the wild yonder. These ones are coming from Rivian. And I felt weird when I was speculating at it because GM was number 2 to sign up.
Yep.
But Rivian was the first one outside of Ford to announce they had their software update ready. And they said, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And they said it's coming soon, blah, blah, blah. And then they said, it's downloading now. And we still haven't heard anything from GM. And then all of a sudden we start to see the Rivian influencers who have their adapters already. Like they didn't have to wait for it to come in the mail or they were mailed in advance, whatever. And they're out there charging up their Rivians the same way we saw with the Ford folks. And it appears to be the same adapter. And before this happened, we started to see some folks who had the Rivian software, whose cars identified as Fords, who were able to plug in and do the plug-in charge and do the app charge. And that's when we knew that things were about to roll, because as we saw when Kyle tried to charge his non-approved car, or not really non-approved, but not yet activated car, with the Ford adapter, it said no. And then when he tried to charge the Ford with the aftermarket adapter, it did the same thing. It just worked. So I just didn't expect GM to be after Rivian, but they kind of have their stuff together. They only make EVs, and there are them to service.
Are you really surprised that a legacy car company was slow at the software update? That just seems par for the course.
Just like Ford had their stuff to get. Well, it's Fordy, and they are more into EVs than GM. So
yeah, and they were the lead dog on this. You know, they were the ones who announced first, and I think they wanted to make sure they also were the first ones to come to market. In fact, that might have been part of the deal with Tesla. is that they get to be the first by coming out and making this statement.
Correct. Yeah.
What was interesting that I thought was that the charger or the adapter itself exactly the same, right? It is no difference because, of course, and I thought of this after the fact, is that Tesla was contracted to make the charger from a number of these automakers. Like it was Tesla's design that was going to be used. So yeah, it makes sense they're making a bazillion of them, and all the other automakers are just going to use the exact same charger,
right?
Or the
adapter. Yeah.
So are those compatible? Could you take the Rivian adapter and use it on a Ford?
Yep.
And vice versa?
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see if they're exactly the same as what Tesla uses for the Magic Dock internally. They just have a different top housing.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that would make sense. I mean, why reinvent that wheel?
Exactly. I think Mark's got something to share with us. Yeah. Just like the Ford, it wastes an extra space, so you might as well park on the line if you need it.
And so where's the charging port on the Rivian?
Front driver.
Yep, okay. But it's a little further forward than the Lightning, so you don't have to stretch the cables.
And it doesn't have the silly flap that pulls out, and you lose half a foot with the door flap. So there's a big difference there too.
But it's got a motorized cantilevering bumper corner, so it's still odd. But
it looks like you might actually be able to just nose in right up to the supercharger and not have to take two spots.
Well, you want to take two spots, but you will waste the spot for the cable being on the wrong side of the car.
Oh, I see. Okay. So if another vehicle comes in and parks next to you, hopefully it's a Rivian. So that
right now,
exactly. Or a Ford.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see if, and I've already heard this with some of the Fords, is that some of the drivers that come in to charge at a supercharger, they will kind of work together and split up the charging between one half Tesla and the other half is the Ford. So they don't lose that spot over and over if they mix and match. If you push all the Fords to one side, all the Teslas to the other side, it works out a little bit better by not losing a spot. And the other thing to keep in mind is if you're driving a Rivian or Ford, try to take that route less traveled by going to the end spot that's really not a charger, right beside a charging spot.
That is good advice.
That will allow you not to take up that extra space as well, or in some cases park on the other side of the median if that is something that is doable. So
yeah, or like you said, Mark, if you pull in there, try to park next to a vehicle that looks like yours.
Yeah. And that's like you said, that cooperative nature. It's generally been my experience when traveling. Like if I'm towing with the non-removable trailers. Moto's here; she's engrossed in a screen of some sort. And so I'll find that very rarely do you have complete jerks who just won't move regardless, or like that guy in Santee with the blue Model S. I remember you.
Casey does not forget.
Blast. But then others, like we were in Lumberton, and everybody moved their cars around just to make us all fit. So we were blocking the least amount of spaces, and I think we were blocking like 4 or 5 spaces, but we were only out 3 cars that were not able to charge. So, or not able. Everybody was charging, but only 3 people were inconvenienced, I should say. One guy was like parked kind of like backwards and to the side, like next to the trailer, and it was really weird, but everybody worked it out, so it was pretty cool, and I like that.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to make their software smarter, and if they see that a Rivian or a Ford are charging, that they'll know which spots that means are blocked. Versus today, you can just say, "Oh, there's 8 stalls, 6 available," and or whatever, But that might not be the case if they're taking up 2 spots.
Right. Or if one of them is a Tesla with the trailer lights turned on.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Because if you're in trailer mode, they know that, and so maybe they can be a
Yeah,
little
if you're in
smarter.
trailer mode and charging, then they know you've done some funky stuff if it doesn't have a pull-through spot. Speaking of, I'm going to go ahead and take the next
Yes.
article.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Tesla is adding anti-theft towing alerts, and in the navigation, they're going to add a filter on the in-car navigation for towing-friendly supercharger sites. So you'll be able to say, hey, hopefully it'll be automatic. Hey, your trailer lights are on. Do you want me to find as many towing-friendly sites as possible? And it'll do either pull-throughs or deep stalls. And they were very clear. They said on the car's screen, but as tightly as the phone app is integrating now, I'm wondering if it'll also show up in the app correctly. But
maybe in a couple of versions. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, for the phone to be on this version and the app to be on that version, and then the software in the app to be on a different version because the Tesla way.
Mm-hmm.
It could be also that they'll take their time and add some of these features as time goes along. But I thought it was inventive about how they are tracking the trailer theft.
Oh yeah, if you unplug the lights from the
exactly
trailer plug, it goes off.
So that could alert you that someone's disconnecting, at least if not physically disconnecting the whole thing from the back of your tow ball. But that's kind of cool that since it knows it's plugged into the lighting system, as soon as it disconnects, it can read the resistance and know that someone's unplugged the actual lighting cable.
Door's locked.
Yeah.
Go insane and send a text message over Sentry mode. Yes,
that's right. That's right. Start recording. Have that back camera start to record, so you've got some evidence to give to the police when the trailer's gone. But this is great news. More and more of this is just starting to come together. I know that we talked at great length a few times about cars with trailers. Casey's had experience when he's rented a U-Haul, and the U-Haul does not allow you to disconnect the trailer during your trip. So when he goes to a supercharger, he's got no ability to actually disconnect the trailer to make the vehicle smaller so he could charge normally. He was having to wait till a strategic time and kind of pull in sideways and take up as least as many spaces as possible and charge. But now being able, especially if the app can tell you, because you may not be familiar with the area you're in. But if the system knows there are long stalls here or pull through stalls, then that would be ideal. What a great time saver for somebody that's on a trip and really is not familiar with the area they're in.
Yeah, my favorite second to obviously a proper pull through stall is in Sioux Falls. They had one where it was extra deep in reverse, so you'd have to be decent at backing your trailer up, but you can push it in there. And a couple places in I want to say Maryland and further in the Northeast, they have, and there's one in North Carolina that I remember, maybe two, where they're extra deep nose in. So your trailer will be hanging out, but most of it will be in the spot, and you just have to hope that the dump truck isn't coming to empty the dumpster. That's why it's extra long. Kind of like a cantilever to the space, catty corner. Yeah.
I've experienced one pull through, and that was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Nice.
And that was at a casino, and it was interesting. I've never seen one before that point. And one thing to keep in mind: watch your doors, especially your rear doors, if you're opening in a pull through spot, because sometimes the charger is right beside you for the other lane, and you don't want to ding your door. But that's one thing I noticed with these particular pull throughs is it was a pretty tight squeeze if you wanted to get out of the car.
They need to add another restriction on the filter for height limited, because they do this too many times, and usually they're urban chargers, so you can just avoid them because you don't want to travel that slowly.
Right.
But there are a couple of standard V2s and V3s that are in parking garages.
Yep.
And that would give you some trouble, because
downtown Atlanta is an example of that. They got V2s inside the ground floor of a parking garage, and it's definitely height restricted.
There's a couple in the DC area. Some are height restricted and some are not, because some are at malls with brodozers, and others are proper parking garages. And then you've got my favorite was my car wanted to get a little nosy and it plotted a path straight past the Rivian Normal Illinois factory to charge at the Normal Illinois Supercharger, which is, again, normal superchargers, but they are in a parking garage with height restrictions. So I don't know. Maybe the other two U-Hauls will be fine. I don't even know if the largest U-Haul would fit in there comfortably, because you got to go to another floor to get the ramp, and that's...
Yeah, if you've got a roof rack and you've got bikes up there or something, and then you planned it out so that you need to charge when you get there, that's going to be a big pain.
Yeah, we always say you just put it in the map and go, but like if you're towing something or you've got something on the roof, it might.
It's a whole new adventure at that point.
Usually it's fine. Yeah. And I found lately it's avoided weird stuff when I've got something attached, but I don't know if that's luck or if it was doing something on purpose. So until we get the filter turned on, and even once we do get the filter turned on, it wouldn't hurt to click on the map and then look at the little picture from Google Street View to see where they're sending you.
Yeah, or check it out on one of our favorite sites, supercharge.info. They have links to the forums there where you can see all kinds of cool stuff about all the various sites.
Yeah, and that's what we used to do, and that still works. It works great. This clicking on the pin and then looking at that's new, the preview, and then just use the Google Street View. And it makes
I wonder if Tesla at some point will give, when you plug your trailer in, maybe it'll give you like 4 or 5 different choices to select what kind of trailer you're pulling, and then based on that, it could update the nav.
Yeah, is it really long? Is it taller than your car? Is it
exactly.
Same height?
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
That makes a difference. Yeah.
So,
one sort of related software update that they've recently done that I really like is it used to be when you put in a destination, it would give you like 2 or 3 options on the screen, and you'd pick one and the others would disappear. Well, now the other ones stay there. And so it's really nice. And it gives you the time countdown on them. So say you're stopped at a light and you see things have changed, you can just easily tap on the other one. And it was actually, there's one spot here where I drive frequently, and it always wants to take me down this road with speed bumps, and I don't want to go down that road. And if I didn't hit it fast enough, it would disappear. And then I'm like, that's so annoying, because now I have to drive myself like a savage until it reroutes.
I thought you with the keeping the alternate routes on screen, it was so it could constantly nag you because you're on the wrong one. And the car could go, "You picked the wrong one, dummy," again.
That's funny, because that's what I've been saying to it. It's like every time I drive there, I go this way. Why wouldn't you figure out that's the way I prefer to go and just take me that way? And now they leave that option, so it's easy to switch.
Yeah, they said it was only supposed to come back when you stopped, but I don't know if it's the legacy thing or if it's for everybody. But where it just stays on the screen, I like that part, because then you can see at a glance, do I need to change this up?
Right.
Yeah. Also, another little story here about Berlin. After the arson that happened 2 weeks ago, approximately, they've been able to put together what it actually cost them. Tesla was down for over a week in production, and the equipment that was burnt, the electrical equipment, they had replaced, and of course, costs came with that. This little fiasco cost over €1 million in damages, and just in damages, not in production lost. This is just machinery and things that had to be replaced, cables that the fire ruined, and of course were not up to compliance anymore and had to be completely replaced. So I really hope that Germany gets their act together for law enforcement and can keep these people away from these assets that are used not only by Tesla, by the community at large. And
they could have killed some people. Anybody who was dependent on power for their medical devices, and only had like a little surge in battery backup because power's never out for longer than an hour.
Yeah, and to say that they're doing it for environmental reasons when they're burning things, and now all that stuff has to be replaced. That there's a carbon footprint to that. hauling it and manufacturing it and whatever raw materials were mined. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. I just don't believe that that's their real motivation. I think they have other reasons they're doing this, and they're just saying this to hope it gets more support or whatever. It's dumb.
Well, especially I spent a good long minute on this on one of the Sunday chats. When you look at what their complaint is about the water usage, and then when you look at the water usage they're talking about is the sewage output into the sewer system. And then when you look at what they're actually putting into the sewer system, we're talking the outputs from their kitchens and their office toilets. That's it.
And it doesn't matter if the person's at work or somewhere else. If they have to go, they're going to flush. And so nothing has changed.
It's not like Russia where everybody uses outhouses once you're outside of the city.
Absolutely. Next, wanted to touch upon this. Tesla started to do something a little bit different than what they've usually done when it's come to an end of a quarter. They've been alerting their different markets that the Model Y is going to be going up in price on April the 1st. It started in Canada, it moved to the US, it moved to Europe, it's now moved to China. All these markets have been alerted that if you're interested in getting a Model Y, the price is going higher in less than a month. So if you're sitting on the fence, do something about it, because we're not going to be held by that. And I think this is a good way to go because it alerts consumers and they don't feel robbed by the prices going up overnight without an alert. This is giving people, in the case of where I am, it gave us a month to realize that, guess what? April 1st, prices are going up. So if you're sitting on the fence, it's time to do something. And that, I think, is a better way of handling it than just overnight changing it. Even if the alert was only for a few weeks, it's better than the over the night switch, and you're just kind of stuck in the whatever happens.
It also kind of clipped the sales on the narrative that was running around that they were having trouble and cars are building up, and so this is only to help them meet their numbers and blah blah blah. And then when you look at when they're going back up again, it's just their usual thing. It's the end of the quarter. They're trying to clear it out like always, and there's more proof of it. That if it was so hard, they would leave it down after the first of the month, not raise it back up so much.
Even if that's the case, Casey, I think that's fine because Tesla has always been moving based on what's actually selling. They have the most up-to-date data over any automobile manufacturer in the world because, of course, there is no dealers in between, so they can know exactly what's been sold. But even if the price was to drop April 7th or the end of April, fine. Like at least they're warning us, I think is what I'm trying to get at, is that it lets the consumer know that there's something they can do about it if they really want to.
Yeah, right. I like that part. But what I was getting at was you had a bunch of the folks who don't normally get on that, electric cars don't sell bandwagon. Even some folks that were into Tesla and Rivian that were starting to sound like those other people who are cheering on that the GM and Ford dealers can't move their product. I was like, and then Tesla does this. And it's like, they're not having trouble. They just want another bang up quarter.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
yeah.
I
think
that's a good thing.
We should be finding out in just a few weeks what their Q1 results were, and then we can see how our predictions for the year are coming along.
See how our bingo card is being filled out, as 01010 tells us. Yeah. So absolutely, we'll get an idea. Although I think a lot of us are going to be way over based on the headwinds that we've been hearing from Tesla for this year.
When you get a terrorist attack on your second largest factory,
right,
and then you go to quarter one softness combined with interest rates are through the roof. And it's not going to be.
It's not ideal selling conditions, is it?
Right.
But here's the thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
Right.
if they're off by $100,000 or if they're off by 200,000 vehicles even. It doesn't matter. The
Mm-hmm.
assets are paid for. They're in profitability beyond belief. They have
Mm-hmm.
more money than they know what to do with in the bank, and they have
Yep.
no debt. And
Right.
that's it. What's
and
it
then
matter?
anybody else who claims they can't sell EVs now has to buy EV tax credits from them.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So that'll be more income from them from all those, and then with the other car companies, the legacy car companies delaying their volume, that's just more market share for Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I get there's no doom and gloom here. Yes, if you own stock and you've watched it slide and it's soft now, you know what? Yeah, I feel your pain. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it's also a buying opportunity too.
Yeah.
So when times get good, if you have the foresight, if you have the ability, if your financial advisor tells you it's a smart play and you agree, this could be an opportunity. But it's something that, as far as doom and gloom, that time is long over. Tesla is never going back to that, as far as I can see. Based on their volumes increasing, their factories coming online, they're continuing to buy land and purchase distribution sites and new factory sites. This is the future looks bright as far as I can see.
Yeah, not stock advice, but like you said, Mark, this is a buying opportunity. I just picked some up. I got it at 163, and it's today at 175. So I've already made 8% by buying the dip. And if you time it right, things work out great. Good luck.
Exactly. Not stock advice, but you can certainly see there's a number of people that are doing that, as Patrick has said, just this week. So,
speaking of people buying their EV credits, the EPA appears to have caved a little bit. Not as far as everybody was telling us it's going to be terrible if you let them roll it back. It seems that they just gave them an extra 2 or 3 years to get their act together, even though they've had 30 to get ready for it.
What's another 10%? Really? Come on. I do want to say, if you haven't already, please press that subscribe button. Give us the thumbs up on the video. That really helps a small channel like ours. Also, next Wednesday, on our live show, we're going to have a special guest in from England. Will from the Tesla Jigsaw channel will be joining us. Check his channel out if you haven't already, and give him a thumbs up as well, because he'll be with us on the panel next Wednesday on the live show. With that, let's move on. Patrick, any shout-outs from you this week?
Sure. Yeah. I hope Tesla Jigsaw has nothing to do with like those Jigsaw movies. I hope that's not what he's about. Tesla Terror. No.
Patrick's job is to watch one of Tesla Jigsaw's videos, so that's what he'll be doing at some point during this coming week.
Or not. Maybe I'll just see if he comes on in his little puppet. It could be. I'll find out.
Oh, Will's gonna love you.
Okay, as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, where I blog about my future free from fossil fuels. And the article that's coming up Sunday is going to be about my first net positive day for the year, and how we work that, because it's not just running on sunshine when it's available. We have batteries, and so we do time shift, and I'm able to, even though our electricity price here is slightly above the national average, I'm able to effectively use the grid, because our solar doesn't give us 100% offset, but I only use it when it's the cheapest, which is 6 cents a kilowatt hour. So all my neighbors are paying 17 cents. I'm paying 6 cents. So be like me, be cool. And you can learn how on Sunday at carswithcords.net. Thank you.
Perfect.
Speaking of, let me turn off my battery because I don't want to charge back from the grid tonight.
Casey, what do you got for us this week?
Well, on Sundays at 1:10 p.m. Eastern, we've just recently had our Playing with the Clock mess. So if you're outside the U.S. or if you are in one of the smart places in the U.S. that doesn't play with the clock twice a year, we shifted on you. But catch us there. We'll talk about all kinds of stuff. Electric cars, green living, space, and have ourselves a blast. YouTube.com/Casey Green. That's KACEYGREEN.
Fantastic. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. JT June 0101 in the chat room with messages. Appreciate that. And we'll get together next week, even before, with a couple other shows that happen during the week and find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Definitely. And thank you, Lee Moon. It's the second time we don't have some music in a while. I clicked the button and it didn't load up. So
well, give us some fireworks at least, Casey. Give us some fireworks with the double thumbs up.
Stay positive. Test negative. It's not cooperating.
Man, nothing works. Nothing.